right, so Tim Pool's being stupid again, and we're on video as usual, and I don't know, not really. I mean, he's just it's typical Tim Pool stuff. So we're just gonna check out what he's talking about, and then we'll kind of break it down as we go. So here we go.
Don't forget to back the blue, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh.
That way, when you quote the Bible in public, as is your First Amendment right, you'll be arrested. Yeah, I'm rather shocked by this story. As many of you know, I am, I guess, what did Josie say? Deist. Is that what the word is? I believe in God, but I don't follow any organized religion. Much like the founding fathers, she says.
Not exactly. Deist is where you believe that something created the universe, but is not interacting with that creation at all. It, by definition, does not interact with us in any way, shape, or form. It is not detectable in any way, shape, or form. It just created stuff and then left or died or whatever. That's the deist position. Anyway,
many of them, of course, Christian. Quoting the Bible in public gets Christian arrested, and it's all on camera. Back the blue, baby.
Now, hold on. I kind of already doubt. I kind of already just feel, yeah, no, that's not what happened. That's not what happened. Although there are some parts of the Bible that are egregious enough that would probably, get you in trouble in certain areas, especially with some of the sex stuff in Ezekiel, talking about the size of penises and the amount of cum that's in that verse. But no, I highly doubt that he got arrested because he was quoting the Bible. That's not I don't see it. Look at this guy though. Jeez, so wait, is this a preacher? Holy Lord, man, this guy looks crazy. You sure he's just not a guy at just a bus stop guy that just says that he's a preacher? Like talking to the imaginary congregation in your head's not that's not being a preacher, man.
Baby. Yep.
Jeez.
You see, this guy was across from a pride rally and he was yelling things about sinning. You're allowed to do that. And a cop got mad and actually arrested him. And it is all on camera. Here we go. Let me play this video. This is from YouTube. This is a YouTube video from Barely Preacher Man. And let me just play for you and then we'll talk about it. Let me make sure I have the audio channel. I always screw up the audio channel. Everybody who watches my videos, they're like, oh, he's going to make the audio channels wrong.
This cop's going to give him a hard time.
So the preacher is saying this is public property. He said, this is public property. The cop says something about being respectful. The preacher tells the cop, you do you, I'll do me. This is public property.
Now, keep in mind, like preachers like that and people that do stuff like this, especially Christians who are just begging. They're begging to be persecuted so that they can be a martyr. Will do stuff like this on purpose just to be a problem, and get arrested so that they can go, see, us Christians are so persecuted. We're persecuted. But the police officer asked them to leave. And so let's see. I mean, he's saying like, don't be shouting stuff at people. It's like, I guess about the volume of what he was doing. He was screaming and yelling. Of course, we don't see that, but
God is not. And the cop walks right up. There you go. Grabs him right away, puts his hands behind his back.
Can I give him my bag while stuffs him?
Preacher asks if he gives his back. Cop says no.
The crowd is cheering. You're like, woo. But yeah,
it's coming with you. All of these cops, 3 cops, 2 ladies, 1 guy, arresting a dude for standing across the street from a pride event, and they're clapping as he's getting arrested.
Clapping, man. The guy was harassing him. All right, but here's the problem with this. I'm not in agreement with Tim Pool. I don't think the cops should have arrested him though, because of this whole persecution complex. You're just feeding into their crazy martyrdom that they want so badly. So when you don't make it, like, make him do something like a little bit more before you do something like this. Now, we don't know what happened before this. they came out and responded. The police responded and said that, he was yelling and harassing people and stuff like that. You aren't allowed to do that. You're not allowed to harass people, right? You can sit there and protest, right? But the interesting thing about this is that it's Tim Pool, right? The guy that is famously always on the side of the police, even when they are killing people, right? And he's like, hey, they deserved it. They deserved it. They were breaking the law and this, that, and the other. And especially when they're beating up Black Lives Matter protesters, he's all about it. Good. Yeah. Get them. You get them out of the street, this, that, and the other. Constantly. But then when it's a guy that's not even on his team, he's not a Christian, I'm pretty sure he's an atheist, and he's just, but he can't use that word because he knows that they will, he's going to lose a massive chunk of his audience. So he says deist, right? But either way, it's so funny to see Tim Pool doing this when it's a guy on his team getting arrested by the police. But every time it's a Black Lives Matter, person, even to the extreme level of being murdered by the police, it's their fault, and they shouldn't have been there, and they should just, just follow the law, man, and all that stuff. It's just
Watching this.
so hypocritical.
And there it is. So again, don't forget to back the blue, baby. And there they go.
God bless you, brother.
And the crazy thing is they're leaving his backpack hanging from his cuffed hands.
Yeah, they couldn't do that, man. They'll just everybody's cheering him on his way out. I have to say that is very pleasing, but at the same time, like I said,
Unjust arrest.
now this is going to go viral because Tim Pool did it, and now it's out everywhere, and Christians are persecuted, and it's because the LGBTQIA plus community is persecuting Christians now. That I guarantee is going to be all over the place if it isn't already.
It on film.
There you go. So here's the story. A man has been detained by the cops at a Pennsylvania Pride event after arriving with a sign explaining that Jesus said, "Go and sin no more," and it's all on video. The report comes from Barely Preacher Man. He says, today as our family was driving out of Reading for a family adventure, we saw there was a Pride rally at the City Hall building in Reading City. Is it Reddit?
And I just had to be an asshole. I was like, oh, is there a Pride event? Okay, turn the car around, turn it around. We got to go be assholes here. We got to go do it because they're sinning. Even though I'm on the narrow road and I'm supposed to understand that the wide road is, that leads to destruction and we're supposed to be in the world, but not of it. But I got to go yell at everybody that's in the world or whatever,
Reading or reading, I don't know. I saw two Christian protesters out there, so I pulled over. I pulled us over and I came out to support and encourage them. I preached for 10 minutes or so until a tyrant cop laid hands on me and threatened to arrest me if I continued. 10 minutes later, another Christian protester came out. He stood his ground against the cop and got arrested as shown in the clip. Most of the attendants, drag queens and children, had come from out of town. Either, is it Lancaster?
How the hell does he
or as far away as New York. The locals in Reading.
Oh, keep in mind, this is still the quote. I love it when they do that. They just have the guy just making a false claim. Now, it is in quotation, so you know that he's just saying stuff. But how the hell does he know where everybody came from? What is that? They're not from around here. They're not from around these parts. So, it's what is that? I don't even know what their point is other than they're coming into our town to and the children too. What does that mean? What does he mean by the children are not from around here? I don't understand. Our kids wouldn't in our town, our children would never. They would never. What is the point of this?
Not out in droves. The gospel went out, but it got pretty rough pretty quickly. Didn't have my GoPro or anything because I had no idea what was going on today. Just the providence of God that we drove by it. On the video by Barely Preacher Man, he's watching and filming the Gay Fest, talking about his own experience. The additional protester then arrives with the sign. There's a brief exchange between him and the officer, who turns away, only to a few seconds later charge the man, rip his hands behind his back, and cuff him.
And it's so funny too, like, cause he was talking shit to the cop. Now, normally when it's Tim Pool watching a video of him of a protester talking shit to the cop, they're like, he's like, yeah, well, that's what you get when you talk shit to the cop. Respect your authority, and all this and that. But when it's a preacher guy that's hating on the gay people, well, now we just have to have an exception there. And now I'm sure I haven't watched this whole video yet, but like I'm sure he's gonna have to roll out an entire defense of the police. Hey, well, sometimes I know he's a bad thing, but clearly this is just a one of those gay cops or something.
A report from WFMZ noted
Bad apple.
the pride
That's
events,
the bad
including the
apple.
rally at City Hall and a march that ended at City Park, where there was a picnic, performances, and speeches. There was no mention of the cops' attack on the speech of protesters. Social media commenters were not nice to the officer. I guess the First Amendment really means nothing in reading. These police officers were expressing their disapproval of the gospel while wearing a badge and a gun. Shameful. This was an unlawful arrest. Everyone has a right to freedom of speech. I'm not even a Christian, but this was wrong. The Lancaster Patriot identified the man who was arrested as Damon Atkins and confirmed it took less than 60 seconds of standing on the sidewalk for him to be handcuffed for quoting a portion of a Bible verse. Matthew Ware was making the video and told the publication police also had warned him from preaching. The officer was identified as Sergeant Bradley T. McClure. Atkins told the Lancaster Patriot that he was going to quote a portion of 1 Corinthians for
the Lancaster Patriot. What are you doing, man? What are you getting your new It's like I'm just very objective. Now let me find the most propaganda-ish local thing I can find. That only gives the one side of the story that I identify with. Like, wow, you could not be more obvious with his bias. It's crazy. And then he'll sit there and tell you though that he is unbiased. He's not a Christian. He's not this, that, or the other. He's completely middle of the road. He's a classic liberal. He's a liberal. Get the fuck out of here. No, you're not, man.
1433. God is not the author of confusion, but did not finish the quote because he stopped when he was handcuffed by McClure. McClure claimed Atkins was carrying a sign with a slogan written on it that showed his opposition of the event. And McClure also claimed Atkins was yelling at people across the street, and he was. I immediately approached him and told him that while he was free to stand on that side of the street and hold his sign, he could not cross the street nor yell comments intended to disrupt the event. Yes, you can. That's called protesting.
Now, Maddie.
The report noted,
yes, you can. Not when a cop just told you not to, man. It's probably not a good idea to do that. And I think when it comes to like protesting and stuff, like you have ways that you can protest and you have ways that you can't protest. Now, I'm actually for people being allowed to shout and stuff like that. Let them shout. Let him scream his hateful little head off. Fuck that guy. They're gonna be there anyway. They're always gonna be there. And if cops do anything to them, well, then you just motivated their base to now get even more violent because now they feel like the law is against them as well. And so they'll take law into their own hands even more. And there's nothing more scary than a mob of nutbags that hate gay people and hate trans folks and everybody else and love AR-15s. Okay, there's nothing fun about that combo. And then to add on top of that, their little 1776 oh, we hate the government type shit on top of that. I mean, it's a recipe for disaster. I would say don't arrest people that do stuff like that. Just let them be there. And trying to disrupt all they want and just fuck them, because when we do this stuff, it just motivates them too much.
that the video does not show Atkins agreeing to remain silent, and Atkins told the Lancaster Patriot that he never agreed to McClure's instructions. Police claimed that he had the intent to cause substantial public inconvenience, annoyance, or alarm, or recklessly creating a risk thereof. He engages in fighting or threatening or in violent or tumultuous behavior. Atkins explained to the publication he was cited for derogatory comments, but in reality, he was quoting the Bible. Now in this country, God is a derogatory term, Atkins told the Lancaster Patriot. That makes me sick to my stomach. Amazing. So again, I ask you, back the blue?
Again, I don't think it's because he was quoting the Bible. It was just it wasn't what he was saying. It was that he was saying it, and he was being extremely disrespectful to the cop that was just a few feet away from him, who told him to like pipe down and relax and stop yelling and everything like that. So, and then he just immediately shouted back at the cop because he's an entitled little brat that you work for Mike type of attitude. And yeah, that's going to piss off a cop. I don't think the cop, again, should have done that. But, what are you going to do?
Look, not every cop is the same.
There
right.
we go with the defense.
Different cops do different things. And this cop clearly is ideological.
Different cops do different things. Man, how did you come up with that one, man? You must have had to sit for a while thinking about that.
Actually captured. He is a part of the cult. And I can tell you that definitively. Why?
What?
You don't have to be a Christian to recognize the right of someone to preach. You don't have to be a Christian to recognize the right of someone to stand on a sidewalk and protest. Now, if someone's on the sidewalk and they're screaming obscenities and random things, well, then I think it's reasonable to say, hey, but even then, you still have very dangerous First Amendment. You're on dangerous First Amendment grounds if someone is just cussing and you try to stop them. They're allowed to speak and protest, and they can easily make an argument that their cussing is a protest. You're allowed to do it. The First Amendment not only...
What's so funny is they arrest protesters all the time. And he's like, shouldn't have been there, should have followed the law, should have done this, should have done that. And saying that like they don't have the free speech. As long as it's a Black Lives Matter protester, they have no rights. There is no freedom of speech for Black Lives Matter protesters. I could probably right now pull up a dozen videos of him basically saying that they should shut up or they shouldn't have said that to the police and this, that, and the other. But when it's someone on his team, now it's a big problem.
Protects the right to peaceably assemble, but the right to practice your religion. And here we are seeing both components, or we're seeing two components of this violated outright by these cops. There you have it. Here's what I think.
There you have it.
I think this cop likely
why does he talk so weird? They had it. They did it. It makes me sick to my stomach. Like, he's so weird.
Supporter of the pride stuff. 100%. There's a lot of money going into this. Look at this truck back here, this van or whatever, with the paint job for the pride colors or whatever.
Yeah, that means it's just millions. Like, that's millions of like that for that paint job. Like, that is just a substantial amount. That's probably Soros money right there, dude. Like,
Germany, I guess. I don't know what these colors are on the back. The German flag or something like that. But yeah,
good one, man.
It's plain as day.
Hilarious.
I think this cop is probably ideologically captured, is probably on board with this, and now the institutional power is being wielded against you, as I stated would happen. And it will get worse. You'll see more of this. The cops will come to your house, knock on the door, and say, "You said naughty words, so you're coming with us." And
How do you go from he just goes from 1 to 2,000. Now they're coming to people's house, and arresting you for like a tweet probably or something. This is insane. That is like a perfect. And I don't think I've seen as good of a demonstration for the slippery slope fallacy as that right there. That's incredible. It goes from this guy getting arrested for bad mouthing a cop, who's 2 feet away from him, basically shouting at him like an asshole. But I still don't think the cop should have arrested him. But still, he was yelling at a cop. That's what he got arrested for, was being disrespectful and, being rude like that. And then he says that means if you read the Bible at home or you quote the Bible at home or tweet parts of the Bible, now they're going to come to your house, like the SWAT team's going to bust in through the windows and arrest you.
Like what?
Jesus. Yeah, seriously.
You tweeted something bad. Look at what happens in the UK and in Europe. You post something on social media, they come to your house and they arrest you. It will happen here.
Let's see what it says. Ashley Nicole King says, that's the way these people are. We're not allowed to shoot children. What's next? Arresting us for having bodily hair? Exactly, right? This is like, yeah, that's not a non sequitur at all. Wow. Holy Lord.
You tell me it can't because we have a First Amendment? Tell it to this guy.
Jeez.
Sure. Maybe he'll sue. Maybe he will win. But the procedure is the punishment. So they'll say, oh, we let him go. He was cited, and then he ended up winning in court. Yeah. They still locked you up. They still stopped your protest. They will be able to shut down your speech and then just say, good faith. Whoopsie.
With all the time he spends on Black Lives Matter protesters being evil and bad and all this stuff, it's amazing. And I've seen it's way worse too when it's Black Lives Matter protesters. Like they get this guy just got arrested. Like they put on the handcuffs. I've sat there and watched them, like Black Lives Matter protesters that were just doing exactly like what he's doing, get beat, get kicked in the back, get hit in the head while they're complying too. Like they're trying to comply. And he's sitting there just bashing them, to bits. And but this guy just, peacefully, just okay, puts the handcuffs on, and now it's the big mess, and he's just I can't believe they're even doing this, it's insane.
Unless people start speaking out and saying no to this. Because you have a right to hold a sign and preach whatever you want on the sidewalk. You have a right to protest. There are questions about disturbing the peace. Fine, fair point. But this ain't it. This was a political, ideological rap.
The cop, that's exactly what they said. It was disturbing the peace. That was what the article said. Of course, they breezed over it because it was this guy's quote was all that his extremely right-wing local, whatever it was, the Weekly Patriot, ridiculous source that he got, of course. But no, yeah, he was disrupting, he was being disruptive. They were allowed to be there. They had permits. He didn't. And he was shouting at people and everything, and he was asked not to, and then shouted at the cop, disrespectfully, and got arrested, just like people, tons of people do all the time when he supports it. So it's so funny how it's just like this and not that. It's so hypocritical.
And a person came up to oppose that and got arrested for it. If you're an atheist, secular, traditional liberal, or classical liberal, or whatever,
atheist, yeah.
This should be shocking and terrifying to you. Because first they'll come for the Christians who are speaking in opposition to what these...
Yeah, that's it. They're the first to go. Jesus Christ, man. Are you kidding me? First they come for the Christians. Yeah, they go for the majority first. That's who they start with when they come for people. They just start with 70% of the whole fucking American population.
These people are doing. Next, they'll come for you.
Idiot.
And they'll come for you even if you don't say anything. You'll simply
now they're arresting
put up the black square on your Instagram profile. And they'll come to your house and say, is there a reason why you're not participating? I mean, we're really concerned that you're not being involved in what the community is trying to accomplish here. And you'll say, look, I don't know anything about it. And they'll be like, why don't you come with us? Wow. Why don't you step outside? Just come. No, put your hand, turn around. Just stop. Don't stop resisting. And then, and a lot of people say, no, come on. That's a little extreme, isn't it? No,
it's fucking stupid extreme, man. It's not a little extreme. It's so stupid extreme. It's unreal, man.
That's what they did in the Soviet Union. They would disappear you even if you did nothing.
Disappear you?
The story I heard from a friend.
Well, you can't use disappear as a verb like that, can you? That's not. You can't say that, right? That's not. There
were two apartments.
The
neighbors didn't like each other. So one neighbor called the Communist Party and said that the neighbor was bad-mouthing the party and they're scared. And the next day, the apartment was completely cleaned out. Everything was gone.
What the fuck
was this? The person didn't do anything. One day they woke up and knocked on the door and can I help you? And they're like, you're under arrest. For what? For bad-mouthing the party. I didn't say anything. Doesn't matter. Does not
What
matter.
Are you talking about, man?
It will happen here unless we stand up and say no.
Jesus.
Don't back the blue. Not when they do this. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up tonight at 8 p.m. over at youtube.com/TimCastIRL. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all.
I'll leave it there. That is hilarious. Wow. What a weirdo. It does. Okay. I was going to say, I don't really know. Ashley said, for disappear used in this context, disappearing a person, not since the Cold War ended though. That's a good little minute ago. Oh yeah, I was in his actual page because I wanted to find it. I had seen it earlier, and all right, so now we can go to. All right, what do we got here? Oh, this dude sort of just he kind of does like what I do, really. He just watches stuff and reacts to it. Ex-Mormon gives most incredible testimony ever. Oh God. Oh, but he's not an ex-Mormon in the sense that he's an atheist now. He's an ex-Mormon. It's just a Christian now. Like, which, I mean, let's face it, that's just Mormon light. You know what I mean? Like, you're just removing like one book of the canon, you know, or I guess 3 books of the canon if you count like the Book of Mormon and all the way up to like the Pearl of Price or whatever. Let's see. We'll watch a little bit of this.
It says, this is one of the most incredible testimonies I've ever heard. That's a bold claim. The title is Ex-Mormon Gives Most Incredible Testimony.
Why does it looks like oh fuck, what was that band? Oh man, of course now I can't think of it. The one guy with the crazy voice that had all the songs in the 90s. Damn it. I can't think of it. Never mind. Matchbox 20. It's the Matchbox 20 guy. Like walking off after doing a set. Yeah.
Ever.
It's completely meaningless, but it was just funny.
This will give you chills. Look.
Oh, good. I need some chills.
That's a bold claim. But let's see what's going on. Let's see. Y'all ever had the like Mormons come up to you on a bicycle? I'm always
that was weirdly specific. Yes, on the bicycle. Yes, they did. In fact, I was riding mine, and then they rode up next to me, and then started, doing their spiel while we were both riding until they hit a pole, and it was unfortunately kind of funny, but I felt bad for them at the end.
To like preach the gospel to them, but for some reason they just don't come up to me. Like we'll make eye contact, and they just will not come up to me. I don't know what it is.
Really? You don't? Maybe because you weren't allowed to be a Mormon until what, like 10, 15 years ago?
I don't know what it is. But anyway, let's get into this testimony. Get your coffee, get your tea.
Cool.
Throw in your headphones.
Crowd
listen to the audio. Ask the Spirit, as always,
Spirit.
The Spirit to reveal what he wants to reveal to you.
Reveal it
throughout this testimony, and take it back to God. All right. Take all these testimonies back to God.
What the fuck?
And let him speak to you.
What does that mean? How do you take it back to God? It's like, hey, God, here's somebody else's testimony. Check this out. You see it? Anyway, I don't know why I'm doing this. Is weird, right? This is weird. I don't even.
Through his word. All right. Let's get into it.
Oh, boy.
Well, good evening, everyone.
That time.
We are grateful to be here. We're Adam.
Wow. I mean, I've been asked not to make fun of people's appearance, but I feel like clothes are allowed, though, right? Clothes are allowed. I can make fun. Like they choose clothes, right? That's like, look at this tie. Why? Oh my God! It's like the tie. Like, okay. To be fair, I used to do. But I mean, it was in the 90s, though. I used to do the tie that was like loose and shit, like with the short sleeved shirt. But what made it super cool though was that it was a mechanic shirt and it had Bob on it. I mean, come on, that's clutch. You gotta admit that's pretty great. This shit though, what the whoa, man? He's like matching and stuff, but the tie's falling off. Looks like somebody else did it. What? It's probably a clip-on. It couldn't be a clip-on because it's not tied right. Oh man, it's so weird looking. All right, sorry.
Road, and we are from Florida, so we are a long way from.
Oh man. Oh, so they're from where I'm at right now, but they're somewhere else. Probably what, Utah or something.
Home. We're from the other coast, and as a ministry, we've been touring the country for about 6.
Missing comments. Let's see. Oh, we got. God doesn't. Ashley said God doesn't watch YouTube, only TikTok. He's got ADHD, so it's a whole. Anyway, that's why there's so many bad things that happen to good people, because God just loses focus. He's just tough. He's we need to get some deity Ritalin for this dude. You know what I'm saying? Some like Adderall, maybe even pump it up a bit more. That guy is so loud. I can't hear what he's saying. Right? Oh man, that's oh God, that is a funny tie.
6 years, and this is actually our first time in the state of California. So we praise God. Yeah.
Great, yeah. Totally for California, I guess.
And we have received a very warm welcome from the body here, so we appreciate it. My name is Micah, and I am privileged and honored to be able to share.
Don't put warm and body in the same sentence when you're talking about God.
What God has
Weird,
done in
man.
my life and how he transformed me from a very religious man to a trophy of his grace. I grew up in the state of Indiana in a very strong and faithful Mormon home.
He said he was taken okay. He was taken out from being a very religious person to being a trophy of his grace. I swear a lot of times they just like fucking stick words together. Like they have like grace, mercy, peace, love, like all the fucking, all those words, right? And then they just like they do like mad libs with those words. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, and trophy, throw that in there. That's pretty good too. I like that. Let's and just throw darts at the wall and say like, trophy of grace. I like that. I'm gonna use that.
Where I was taught that it was in and through my works and in and through my religious acts that I could make myself right with God. Paul writes to the Romans in Romans 10, he says that they had a zeal for God, referring to the Jews, but not according to knowledge, and that they were ignorant of the righteousness of God, and that they sought to establish their own. And that described me as a young Mormon man, as I did not believe that God gave me his love freely, and I did not believe that I was saved by grace as a free gift. I believed that I had to earn my way into God's love and prove myself to God and show him that I was.
So it's so funny when they go over this, because they have this whole like not by works but through, is it saved by grace, by faith, not through works, lest any man should boast or judge, or it depends on who you're talking to. It's boast or judge. But and they do this like, oh, I thought it was all my works and everything like that that got me saved. But like they will go back to, but you don't have any fruit, and fruit, like if you're, that's how you know somebody isn't a true Christian. And fruit, surprise, surprise, it's just fucking works, man. Like you loop back to the thing you say you're not doing. It's hilarious. Anyway, it's
worthy enough to be saved. And I was very much like Saul before he became Paul. I was a very zealous, religious young man. In Galatians, Paul says,
holy shit, I didn't even think of that. Like, so wait, how come the religious characters get to change their name and then everybody gets to be okay with it? Like you can't, they get all mad when like people change their name, if you're trans. But Paul did it. Like, what was the other one? Abraham. I don't know why that was, and they always seem to be really close to the name though. But I guess that's pretty normal too, because you're kind of used to hearing that name. And anyway, but what the hell, man? They're like, I'm like, no, you don't just get to change your name, okay? Just like pronouns are a problem. Like, oh, I don't want to think about pronouns until you misgender their God. And they're like, hey, what the fuck? No.
Is that he was advancing in Judaism beyond many people his own age. How extremely zealous was he for the traditions of his fathers. And that was very much the type of young man that I was. When I was a teenager, we actually picked up and left the state of Indiana and moved right to the heart of Mormonism, to Alpine, Utah, which is a city that is no exaggeration.
Wow. Huh. That looks like my family right there, actually. Except I would be like I'd be in this picture and be like way down here as far as height.
About 99% Mormon.
Wow. Okay. Anyway.
And my mom was actually a professor at Brigham Young University. If you guys are familiar with BYU, it's a private Mormon school in Utah. And it just kind of goes to show the type of zeal that our family had for this religion. So I graduated from high school and I went to a semester at BYU. And when I turned 19, I did what's customary in the Mormon church. And that's to go on a 2-year mission trip. Have you guys seen the Mormon missionaries? Raise your hand. Don't be shy. Okay. White shirts, name tags, ties. Okay. I'm sure you've seen them riding their bicycles, and they might have even knocked.
Just you minus the name tag, I guess. I don't know.
On your doors, and you might have even spoken with them. Well, that's tradition in the Mormon church.
What I was told from Mormons, they say if they come to your house and like want to preach to you and stuff, like, and you just don't want them there and you don't want to deal with them, if you want to make their day and then make yours too, just have them break up the yard, go get the weed whacker out and be like, here you go, like go just clean up my yard. They will be so happy. They'll just put them to work. They'll love that, because then they can run back to their, like, hey man, we went to an atheist's house and we cut his whole yard. We did his whole yard for him, really spreading the love of Jesus. And that way they're happy, you're happy, and everybody's happy, and it's, you get your yard done,
because you want to go out and convert people, because we were taught from the time that we were children that there was no salvation outside of the Mormon church. And the only way to be saved was in and through the religious acts and works and ordinances that were provided through that particular religion. We were not taught in the sufficiency of the blood of Jesus Christ to save us from our sins. And so when I was 19, as you can see, that
I thought they do like believe that too. It's just they take it another step too, right? Like, and then they do believe in all the Jesus-y stuff, but then they add on like some extra stuff. So all he did was take away the extra stuff. It's like the Jesus-y stuff though, it's cool. Like that was already like, it's basically the same religion. Weird. All right, this is so funny.
I went into the missionary training center in Provo, Utah, and went on my 2-year mission trip. And I actually got sent to Orlando, Florida. And what you may or may not know is that Orlando is a very evangelical and Bible-based area. And I didn't understand this at the time, so I was a little naive as a young Mormon missionary, but I was convinced that I was just going to get to Orlando and convert everybody that I saw and be the greatest missionary ever.
It's a tourist trap, I mean, that's what it's like. If you're driving through Orlando, I mean, yeah, Disney World, of course. I mean, that's what everybody thinks of immediately, right? But like, everybody's got their own little version of Disney World in Orlando, right? If there's like a gumball machine, you probably have like a gumball machine land, like, and it's and there's a mascot that's a gumball machine with eyes and like the white gloves and stuff. Like tons of that stuff. Like you'll find the weirdest entertainment venues and arcades and stuff. It's actually kind of fun to go through there. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess there are some really big churches out there too. Of course, to house all of the people on vacation. It's the most vacationed spot, I want to say, in the world. I know our state is. I know Florida is the most, although I feel like that's probably going to be changing soon since DeSantis is basically making it unsafe to be here.
And so I got there and I was being very zealous and trying to convert people into my faith and riding my bicycle and knocking on doors. And I'd been there for a few months and I got a little, what you might say, overzealous in my attempt to convert others, because I actually attempted to convert a Baptist minister and his whole congregation to the Mormon church.
That was good.
Which I was unsuccessful in, by the way.
Good. Hilarious.
But it did open an opportunity for God to begin an amazing work in my life. And as I sat down with this Baptist minister to share with him the Mormon gospel, it opened up an opportunity for God to speak through this man and to share the true gospel with me for the first time in my life. And that's what happened as I sat down.
Hold on. Now, keep in mind, this is supposed to be the most incredible testimony ever. This will give you chills. Wow, this is aggressively nothing. Like, what about the guy that's like used to be in the mafia and like pulled people's fingers off for a living and stuff, and then the love of Jesus just made him not want to pull people's fingers off anymore? Like, whatever. That's not the most incredible. It's just so crazy that they do this. They're just like, yeah, he was a Mormon and now he's not, and that's it. That's the story. Like, that's the story. That's what you got. Okay.
This Baptist minister,
unreal, man,
is after presenting the Mormon gospel and telling him that there were works and ordinances and commandments that had to be followed in order to be made right with God. This pastor's response was that the gospel of Jesus Christ is that the only way to be made right with God is through Jesus Christ and through the blood that he shed on the cross of Calvary.
You already knew all that.
And like it says in Titus chapter 3, that when the goodness and loving kindness of God our Savior appeared, he saved us, not because of works done by us in righteousness, but according.
So glad. I don't think I would have really absorbed it had you not put it up on the screen. That's great.
To his own mercy.
Wow.
And this was the love of God that I did not know.
Oh, now he's going to.
But it was a love of God that I always wanted. But my God only loved me as far as I proved myself to him. But
oh man, that's awful. I would never, just now I'm gonna have to switch away because this is just I hate watching people cry, and I hate watching it even more when it's on a stage and it's about Jesus and stuff, because it's just like it's just trauma. Trauma's coming out now, it's okay, and then you're just crying and like, Jesus, no, but no, it's not. You're just masking the trauma that you clearly are going through. or have gone through and are possibly continuing to go through, and you're trying to figure out because any way to like get past that trauma, because like why would you then jump to another religion anyway? All right, so Mormon isn't Mormon anymore, and that was interesting. Great, moving on. Let's see here. Okay. Oh, former Anheuser-Busch exec reveals why Bud Light went woke. No, I'm good on that. Seen enough of those. Let's get away from the anti-woke stuff, right? Isn't that kind of annoying at this point? Like I think I've watched a bit too much of that now. Ready to settle back into my regular making fun of people that believe in demons. That's what we need to do. Oh, see, my song activates demons. Okay. I don't know. Y'all can let me know if you see one you want me to pick, you know. Let's see. As she said, as a child, I was wondering why everyone cried at church. Yeah, I swear, it's a trauma response, man. Like it's because you don't have anything, right? It's that you have no way of actually dealing with your trauma and everything, and you're given this like thing that is supposed to help you deal with that trauma. And then what the problem is, you have to pretend like it is. You know, you have to sit there and go, oh man, yeah, I totally feel better. And the amazing thing is there's a part of your brain, like if they've done experiments where they can basically trick you into feeling euphoria. You can trick yourself. Like, remember all those people that were like, I'm so drunk. Oh, man, it feels like, and you're like, yeah, they've been drinking like old duels all night and didn't know they're not drunk. Because you can trick people into feeling euphorias and stuff, right? And so they're doing that to themselves in order to feel like this stuff is actually helping with the trauma that it's actually causing, right? Because they heap a bunch of shame onto you and then pretend to fix it. But they're the cause and the cure. It's very similar to nicotine. Like nicotine, like creates a deficit. First time you do it, then it makes you feel like you need to have that substance, and then it makes you believe that you're feeling pleasure, but really you're just fulfilling the deficit that it caused in the first place. It's like tightening your shoes for the pleasure of taking them off. You know, and so religion works a lot like very similarly to that. Anyway, all right, let's see what this Cardi B thing.
Hey guys, welcome to the channel. In this video, we're going to talk about Cardi B saying that her music activates demons. Some of you listen to our channel, watch these videos, and say, Isaiah, is music really that demonic?
Cardi, this is why you can't say stuff like that, okay? Because idiots like this guy will take it seriously, man. Like, don't.
Devil really working in the music industry? Are things really as dark as you say? Well, Cardi B came out saying her music activates demons and she wants out. She wants to get away. And then later she deleted this, but somebody, of course, recorded it and posted it. So we're going to react to this today. You got to remember, in Satan's body is musical instruments. It's often been said that Satan was the worship leader of heaven. Although the Bible doesn't explicitly say that, we know that the devil had a part to play when it came to music in heaven, was cast down to the earth. And so what do you think the devil's going to use on earth? Music. Music has this demonic...
That is just rock solid logic right there.
This intoxicating power in the demonic realm to influence, to control. So it's no wonder the devil uses these celebrities, these musicians, these hip hop artists to further his agenda. Some people will downplay this, but as you'll see over and over, artists
and pretty much every metal band ever created from
coming out talking about the dark side of music, the rituals, the witchcraft, the magic, and all the stuff that goes on in the music industry. Let's check this out, what Cardi B has to say about her latest song and how it is causing demons to be activated in her. Okay, so this is the tweet she put out with a 1.5-minute voicemail that she later went and deleted, but someone had captured it and posted it. So let's listen to this and let's react to this.
I've been having these weird feelings lately, and this kind of why I didn't want to do this song song. Killed.
So she says,
what?
I've been feeling weird. I didn't want to do this song, Shake It, that just came out. By the way, this is one of the biggest artists in our generation, secular artist that has hundreds of millions of views, hundreds of millions of followers and plays. And she's saying, I didn't want to do this because this song activated demons. So this is not just us saying
she killed. I mean, come on, you're already like you're already like skipping over things she said. This is where like they start to like the stupid just starts to leak all over other stupid, and then the stupid just gets mixed together. It's like, because I don't know what she's saying. It sounds like it's probably some kind of like metaphor or something, but like, or maybe she does believe in it. I don't know. I don't know what Cardi B believes, but that's just, it sounded like complete nonsense. I don't know what, or like, people say like it awakes demons in me or whatever, like this metaphorical type of stuff. It could have been that. I don't know. I'm saying like I killed those demons, maybe like old things, at that those old emotions or something. I don't know. But
music's demonic, activates demons. This is her own words here.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to be that girl anymore. Like I just want to be a mother. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to be that old Cardi anymore.
And this is sad. My heart goes out to a lot of these celebrities that are demonized, that are working for the devil, that have made contracts with Satan, that have claimed to sell their souls. Is they oftentimes change their mind and they don't want to live this life. And where are they going to go to get free? Where are they going to?
She's not talking about it. She's talking about like fame and stuff, and like, she can't even say something in a voicemail for 2 seconds without nutbags like you grabbing onto it to go, Damon, Damon, Damon. Like, yeah, like she's not, I don't think she's talking about that.
To go to get deliverance. The church doesn't preach it. Christians don't preach it. So they don't realize that they get trapped in this life. And she's like, man, I just want to be a mother. I want normal life. I don't want to be this person anymore. And then again, she deleted this right after. But to me, this is a cry for help. And this is a cry for deliverance, a cry for freedom. And it's just interesting.
Lifestyle.
So I left the lifestyle.
Ago,
freedom
bro.
and deliverance.
I don't want to be that
redundant
anymore. Like, and she's coming back. She's coming back, bro. Like,
she's coming back. So she's speaking of this spirit, this demonic, this personality, this alter ego, however you want to describe it. She's like, man, she's coming back. That this song activates that demon in me. It's literally what she's saying here. It's crazy.
I feel like getting a cane.
What?
If you know about the canes, then you know. I've been having these weird feelings lately.
I don't know if she said, I feel like getting a king. If you know about the king, you know, or she said Cain. But let's listen to the second part here.
I don't want to be that anymore. I want to be a mother.
Yeah,
this song,
she's clearly saying that she's like kind of like done and wants to just stop doing the fame thing. And like now she's gonna have to tour and do all this other stuff. I know I say tour funny, but it's syllable word. Two, not a oneer, it's a tour. But she's gonna have to tour, she's gonna have to do all this other stuff, possibly like playing at the Super Bowl. That type. She doesn't have to go through all that because it's a very demanding lifestyle. And I don't know, maybe calling it demons or whatever, it's just something that she, this is the way she's expressing it. She is an artist. They tend to express themselves artistically, sort of a thing.
Is activating demons.
She says it again.
Activating.
The song is activating demons that I locked away.
A long time ago. And it's coming back again. And I don't want to be that. I want to be a good person. I don't want to.
Damn, why do we keep running into people crying today? Like, I'm not, what?
I don't want to be that anymore.
So that's pretty much the rest of it there. So as you can see, she's hurting, she's broken. She's like, I don't want to be this person anymore. I want to be a good person. I don't want these demons. And this is the state of Hollywood. This is the state.
It honestly sounds like it could be talking about like doing like the party lifestyle and everything that again tends to accompany those sort of demanding lifestyles, because a lot of performance type of work is you're having to get all pumped up. A lot of times when they're getting pumped up, they're doing drugs, and just having to have and maintain that energy and do all this type of stuff. And it can be very frustrating and just like draining, so it's just a very difficult lifestyle to try to keep up with. And it sounds like she's talking about that, but I didn't know if she had ever like calmed down and stopped any of this. I thought she had just been still going, but I don't know. I don't know much about her. And it's also possible that she's a Christian and just, wrong about, just believing weird stuff about it. I don't know. and this dude's just latching onto it to take it like extra literal.
Of where it's at with these celebrities, these musicians. And for many of us, we're like, Isaiah, what's the big deal? It's not that big of a deal. You know, who cares? What are you making a fuss about? These people need freedom. They need deliverance. They need breakthrough. They need us to stand up. And we're entertained by this stuff. Like,
so they need to call you so that you can do an exorcism over the phone like you do, or they can just go to that one video. They can go to the video where you teach people how to get exorcised.
Us Christians, we're over here debating, is it wrong to listen to this music? Is it wrong to listen to this hip hop, this rap? I just like the beat, not realizing these are seducing spirits that are working behind the scenes to control. I don't know why we're still debating on whether we should listen to worldly music or Christian music. There's spiritual powers at work here. The devil's weaving his way into our generation through the music. So does music have supernatural power? Yes. Not just according to me, but according to Cardi B, this is activating demons.
Okay.
So yes, this is an open door when you're listening to this music, when you're participating it.
Doesn't it look like he doesn't believe? He's like smiling. He sounds like he's just reciting lines, and he's just like, but keep smiling. Like it sounds like he doesn't believe himself. I don't know. It's
open
really
door
weird.
to demonic spirits. I want to challenge some of you to wake up, to see this agenda, this dark agenda happening right now in Hollywood, in the music industry, and not be so light on it, not be so careless to think it's no big deal. We're going to keep exposing, making these videos because these are a major deal. I mean, hearing it from Cardi B herself, this is a glimpse into the mind of these musicians and these celebrities that are being used as Satan's pawns that want to get out, that want to get freedom. So I hope this wakes us up to realize that these people are hurting. I hope it wakes us up to realize that we should not be partaking or listening to this.
Weird, but he's like smiling. He's like, they're like hurting. And you know, we just wake up to like, you know, it's so weird the way he's talking.
Music. I cut out secular music 11 years ago, and I've never turned back. And I can tell you,
it sounds like you haven't been counting the days and by extension the years since you've done it. He sounds like he's an alcoholic. Like I'm at Secular Music Anonymous. I've been free from it for 11 years, but you know, one song is all it would take. And then, you know, because one song is never enough or whatever.
The only thing secular music brings is memories of the past. It wants to remind you of your old life. It doesn't bring glory to God. It doesn't bring honor to God. Music glorifies something. It either glorifies God's kingdom or the enemy's kingdom. There's no middle ground.
That's so weird when they like say stuff like you're always worshiping something. No, you're not, man. You don't have to worship stuff. You're not glorifying anything. Okay, tell me what Smells Like Teen Spirit is glorifying. Mosquitoes? Huh? Like what is that? You know, it's a complete just nonsense. What about Yellow Submarine? Submarines? What is that glorifying? Like, it's so stupid.
So I know we try to make gray areas. Well, what if it's this song or that song? I want to listen to music that's edifying to my spirit. I want to listen to music that's wholesome. I want to listen to music that brings honor and glory to God, not music that's going to be an open door, make me feel a certain type of way, drag me back to the emotions of my past. So I hope this video helped you out. I'm going to try to reach out somehow to Cardi B.
You don't want to feel a certain way, just like a vague kind of way, or what?
I don't know if I'd ever be able to get to her, but I'm going to try to find some way to message or send a thing on Instagram. And hey, if you want to get free, if you want deliverance,
oh my God,
I'll be willing to pray for you. I'll be willing to do deliverance on you because I want to be there as a.
Don't tell her. Don't tweet at her and say that you're going to do deliverance on her because you'll probably get flagged or something. Like, I don't know, some freaky like guy, you know. So some stalker was saying he wants to do deliverance on me.
Resource to whoever it is to see them get set free. The church needs to rise up.
And if you want to do deliverance on somebody, go to adamandeve.com and put in code Brentley for 50% off any one item and 3 free gifts and 6 free DVDs and free shipping on the entire order. That's code Brentley, BRENTLY. I'm seriously not kidding. That's my code. Go do that.
Been called to cast out demons. Like, who else is going to do it if we don't do it? So this is pretty eye-opening.
Other crazy people, man. They're all over the place on this YouTube shit.
To me that she admits on a voice video, on a voice post on Twitter, she's admitting to her music activating demons, which is why she didn't want to do the song. So if she's admitting to her music activating demons, how much more should we be staying away from this music? How much more should we be living holy consecrated lives? Let me know what you think down below.
What was
I'm not
that
going to
last
rant on
word?
about
Did
this.
you hear
It's
that?
only
What was? Did y'all make out that part? The hell was that?
admitting to her music activating demons. How much more should we be staying away from this music? How much more should we be living holy consecrated lives? Let me know what you think down below. I'm not going to rant on about this. It's only a minute and a half voicemail.
Okay, buddy. All right. Let's check in on somebody else. That was a fun one though. That was interesting. If somebody cries in this next video, I'm shutting it down. All right, I'm shutting it down. I'm tired of people crying on these things. All right, let's see here. What do we got? Oh, Atheist asks tough questions. Epic response. Oh goodness. All right, I'm gonna have to.
As I understood,
They called us out. They called us out.
Or a creation, to use the term painting, implies a painting, or a design implies a designer.
Hold on. Is this guy wearing a Southern Army hat? Is that what that is? That's the South, right? The South wore those weird little hats. Is that right? And he's got the mustache to match. Is he really into the bad guys in the Civil War? I don't know. Anyway.
But I must ask, who designed God? And if no one designed God, if God is timeless, spaceless, and immaterial, and he existed eternally in an uncaused fashion, then why can't nature exist in the exact same way, in an eternal, uncaused, spaceless,
why is this
immaterial
guy?
fashion?
Hold on. What did he get all his logic medals? Like, what is this? Wait, why does he? Why is he wearing all these medals? It looks because it's like he's just got a T-shirt on underneath. It's not like he's in the military and is wearing his blues uniform. He's just a guy with a shirt on. It's really strange.
Good question.
Why can't our uncaused origins be as marvelous and precise as God, but be natural causes?
Excellent question, Carter. That's a very good question. You're right that we have two options here. Either the universe is the uncaused first cause, or something beyond the universe is the uncaused first cause. The problem is that all the evidence points to the fact that the universe is not the uncaused first cause.
I don't feel like that. I feel like that's a false dichotomy just right out the gate. You're saying something beyond the universe is in the uncaused first cause. Do we have evidence that that's the case? Do we know that? Or because to me, as far as I can tell, it could be 1.5 million different things. I don't know. What if it's a parallax? We don't know if it's a parallax. That's an interdimensional being that doesn't have a conscious brain, but it moves in and out of dimensions, and I just made it up. So it's it could be anything.
And I didn't have time to go through that evidence tonight. That was part one. But I'll give it to you very briefly in an acronym, SURGE, S-U-R-G-E. S stands for the second law of thermodynamics, which says that the universe is running down. Well, if it's running down, somebody must have wound it up. We'd have no energy left right now if the universe was eternal. The U stands for the fact that the universe is expanding. Edwin Hubble detected that back in 1929.
Yeah, they do this a lot where they're it's winding down. We don't know, though, if it could possibly be some kind of everlasting, expansion, like boom, and then slows down, and then boom, and then just keeps on. I don't know. We don't know. That's the thing. And as far as I can tell, what they're learning in quantum physics, it's really strange, but causes come after things. So there are I'm not really sure. I'd have to find a video and try to slow walk through it or something, but it's basically just in quantum physics, it does not work how you think it would work on that kind of level, and the causes come way later, which is really strange. But yeah, so I don't know. We just don't know. There's too much we don't know for us to be sitting here acting like we know stuff that we couldn't possibly.
And shows that everything came from a single point, a point actually of infinite density, the singularity, which is actually nothing. So the universe had a beginning.
Okay, so I think that has been recently, the consensus has changed on that, as far as I understand. That could be wrong on this. I'm not a cosmologist, so I probably should just shut up.
The R in SURGE stands for the radiation afterglow. That's the remnant heat discovered by Penzias and Wilson in 1965, which is literally the smoking gun to the Big Bang. There's heat, remnant heat from the Big Bang still out there, which shows that the universe had a beginning. The G in surge stands for the great galaxy seeds, which were very
No, we don't know. Okay, never mind. I'm going to stop saying what we
fine
don't
temperature
know. 'Cause we
variations
don't know
in
any
that
of this.
radiation afterglow that allowed the galaxies to form in the early universe. And the E stands for Einstein's theory of general relativity, which shows that time, space, and matter are correlative, that they came into existence together, that space, time, and matter literally had a beginning. Einstein knew this in 1916. Then observational evidence.
Okay, no, that's wrong. I get, like he's misunderstanding something fundamental about how time works. Like time isn't necessarily like when they say like it's relative, yeah, because the universe didn't exist, right? So the things that we use to determine what time is didn't exist. But the concept of time didn't just stop. Like it's not like everything was stuck in 0 seconds and then all of a sudden, well, now there's time. No, that's not how it works. It's just that the things that we used to map time didn't exist yet. So technically it's before time, right? But it's not before the actual concept of time. And time is relative according to those, that the universe, right?
Evidence began in 1919 when Eddington did his test on the eclipse, and then Hubble discovered the expanding universe in 1929, and then on to the radiation afterglow and the great galaxy seeds after that. So the evidence points to the fact that the universe is not the uncaused first cause. So there must be something beyond the universe that is, and that thing that's beyond the universe must be spaceless, timeless, and immaterial. And if you're timeless, do you have a beginning? No. So God is not, he didn't have a
Very
beginning.
pregnant
He's the
pause.
uncaused first cause. And look, Aristotle, Plato, they all knew this. They knew there had to be an unmoved mover.
But that doesn't make any sense. Like, I mean, he's just making up a thing to be like, and it's outside of everything, therefore it caused it. You might as well just say magic. It's because magic. It's like, it's literal. It's just like I can't remember what we're saying. It's like, God is not, I think Noah said it. God is not the second runner up at the beauty pageant that gets to take over when science doesn't, understand something. Like it's, you know what I mean? That's not how it works. You have to demonstrate that thing even exists in the first place in order for it to cause anything. It's like we're like reverse engineering stuff. It's almost like if my kitchen was all wet, right? And I came in and this kitchen was all wet. And I'm like, dude, there was a dog. A dog came in here, shook himself off, and then left. And they're like, oh, so you got a dog? I'm like, no, I don't have a dog. Okay, well then why would you think? Well, how else could it have gotten like that? It's all wet, It's like, okay, but you need evidence for the actual dog, though. Like you can't just be saying, but it looks like it's on the ceiling too. I mean, how did that happen? And then later, my partner comes home and it's like, oh, just so you know, the pipe broke on the sink, and so it literally went everywhere. And they're like, oh, okay, well then the dog probably is doing other stuff. Then there's other stuff that the dog's probably doing. And then just bringing up a dog for no reason all the time. That's what this sounds like to me,
I believe you're drawing a false dichotomy because we do not know that the original cause was God. There is no reason to say that an intelligent designer was the first cause, the uncaused first cause that caused everything else. I do not have the training or expertise to refute such science, and in fact, I accept your conclusion that the Big Bang had a beginning and space-time and matter came into existence from a point of origin. But we do not know that this point of origin is God. Calling it God.
I would actually disagree. I don't think that. I don't know. I as far as I can tell, we could be, I don't know, it could be just so big, and I don't know, just it could be infinitely old, or I don't know, like time like works differently back then. I don't know. Could be so many millions of different things that we have no way of knowing.
To make a false assumption. Another reason for the existence of everything might simply be that other dimensions have the power and the marvelousness and complexity to create a situation where where the Big Bang could be brought into existence and space-time and matter could begin to exist without an intelligent designer having a hand.
I gotta say really quick before we get to Frank's response, I love this guy's humility and I love his honesty, and I love that he basically is saying, like, I don't have answers to the scientific acronym that you just laid out. So he's granting that rather than just trying to double down or feel like he has to like win the debate, win the argument, come up with something on the fly. He concedes that point. And then I love actually the philosophy.
Well, it's actually nice on his point because a lot of religious apologists don't believe any of that stuff. So he's kind of like, all right, cool. We can at least have some common ground here that, you know, a lot of times they do not have. So it's kind of interesting.
Philosophical point that he's making here, which is how do you make the jump from whatever could have caused the universe? He's saying like some sort of other dimensional winds or something that could have birthed this universe, which is an interesting question. I have thoughts, but let's let Frank Turek let's hear his answer here.
Well, Carter, what you just described there is what we would call God. God is in another dimension that has the ability to bring.
So again, it's the dog. It's just anything he needs it to be. Because I was talking to somebody else, and we were talking about the quantum stuff, you know, and the quantum physics and all that, and how, you know, just how it functions weird. And he said there's this thing called the observer effect, right? And it's basically that, you know, this type of interaction requires an observer, right? Although he misrepresented what observer meant, it doesn't mean like there has to be a conscious brain there to evaluate it. It just means like there has to be something there to interact with them or something like that. But that at that moment, his God became nothing but an observer because that's, you know, the argument that he's making. It's like this dance that they do around to basically say God is this. It's what they call the God of the gaps, but it's, you know, it's a dance that they do to just make God be whatever he could be whenever they need him to be, you know, and that's it.
These dimensions into existence. So if you want to call it another dimension, you can call it that, but that's exactly what we mean by God.
But then why is there a theology? Why do we worship God? He could easily be called another.
Excellent point. You don't have to worship God. In fact, Aristotle never worshiped God. In fact, the Greeks never got their theology and philosophy together. They knew that there had to be an unmoved mover.
Like, it's amazing, just like totally dove to another thing. Like, oh, we don't have to. Dude, you know damn good and well that your religion says that you're supposed to worship God. I mean, come on, like that's what his point is. Just that why all this extra stuff then? You know, why does he have to send himself to sacrifice himself to save the world from himself? You know, why this other things? If it could be just another dimension, and that's what we mean by God, and it's because they do this dishonest little dance where they, you know, want to just say that God is whatever, whenever they feel like it. And God is the Flarganalarg. You know, he says whatever they want him to be when they need to be.
But they never put the two together and worship the unmoved mover. So you don't have to worship the unmoved mover. You don't have to.
But you're a Christian.
You can do whatever you want.
And again, like he's changing his position as he's arguing. He's saying, you don't have to do that. None of that matters. Now, I'm a Christian, but I'm not arguing for that. I'm arguing for this other thing, this other deist position, right? Even though I am a Christian, you know, and then it's like he has a separate argument for each one of his different, you know, things that he can dance back and forth on. And it's like his model is not consistent. It's almost like when you, it reminds me of like an old, one of those old script games. Remember you'd like, you know, the little guy would like, it was a side scrolling game, but like you had no control over the guy. You could just type stuff. Right. And you would be like, you'd get to like a broken bridge or something. And you'd be like, okay, it looks like there's some vines there. Tie the vines onto the bridge to fix it. And it's like, not enough vines. And it's like, it just gives you those responses. You're like, okay. It reminds me of that. But it's like, it's just, but with no consistency whatsoever. It's just, it has a response to each one of your, each one of your arguments, right? And it's less about making arguments that complete a model that's completely consistent with itself. It's more about just talking. That's what we would call talking points. That's what I would call them. You know, it's not attached to any kind of model of reality that's consistent.
You have free will. God loves you enough to give you free will. You can love him or reject him. That's up to you.
Oh, see, now we're back to that. Wow.
On that point,
so he just said he wasn't doing that, and now he danced all the way back around to being like, but Christianity, though, it's amazing how they do that.
Will to accept or reject God, but the obvious conclusion.
And with debate, like it's interesting. I know I keep interrupting, but like with debate, it's a lot of this. And he seems to be doing okay, but like a lot of times they'll throw stuff out that they want you to follow, right? And you kind of got to recognize what to just leave and just be like, okay, that's distraction. That's getting me off my point. You know, because they want you to go, hey, jingly keys over here, and forget what you were arguing against, because they don't have an argument against what you're actually arguing. So they try to turn it into something else so that you follow them. And now when you're in a completely different argument that you honestly don't know anything about, and they're, you know, throwing all this extra stuff at you. So it's just like a part of debate, is just knowing what not to respond to, which seems antithetical to the purpose, but it's actually not. It's, you just said. That's why I really like R.N. Brock, because he'll just be like, no, that's stupid. And then he'll just move on to the next. He like knows like what not to respond to. You know?
Is that rejection of God will lead to eternal damnation in hell. So in reality, we do not really have the choice to accept or not to accept God. We must ultimately accept God, assuming we choose to avoid perdition.
Well, if you want to avoid...
Good question.
Well, let me back up for a second. There's only two possibilities if God exists.
Fucking Civil War soldier, guys. He's pretty good. I have to say the headphones look a bit anachronistic or whatever, but
in eternity, you're going to be with him or you're not going to be with him, right? That's logically the only two options. If you want to be with him, you will seek him out and be with him. If you don't want to be with him, God will not force you into his presence against your will. In fact, let me make the objection stronger than what you're making. You're very polite, but
this is again, like, you can just decide reality based on what you want, which is not how reality works in any way, shape, or form. Like, there is a reality, and we're trying to figure it out the best we possibly can. And he's like, well, if you want to be a Christian, then Christianity is true. And it's like, dude, come on, man.
I
really?
Debated an atheist who was a little bit more...
It reminds me of like when people like change their theology because the preaching and the music are good. You know, they're both the preaching and the music. I mean, that's rare, you know. So we're Calvinist, you know, charismatic now. You know, it's just hey, that's got to be true because both the teaching and the music is good. You know?
Correct. And let me tell you, this man he's a good man. I like him. His name is Eddie Tabash. He's an attorney from Beverly Hills. We debated at University of Michigan a number of months ago. And he looked at me during the Q&A and he said, Frank, my mother was a survivor of the Holocaust. She lived an awful life. Somebody presented her with the gospel and she rejected it. Is she in hell right now? Whoa. I said, Eddie, I don't know where your mother is. I don't know if she made a profession of faith in her last moments, but if she didn't, then God will not force her into his presence against her will. God is too loving for that. And I asked the audience this question. In fact, I'll ask...
because she didn't get the religion right. See, this is where, and that's just such a disgusting way to think, that the people that were tortured to death, you know, and mistreated their entire existence, like mostly, but, you know, in hiding and all this other stuff in the Holocaust, and slaves are the same way. Their entire existence was just torture, and then they died. And a lot of them went to hell because they didn't do his religion right. And he thinks that's a reasonable thing to think.
You as an audience, this question. Ladies, is there anybody in here who's ever had a man pursue you and you did not want that man to pursue you? You did not want to date him. Anyone in here? Of course. In fact, some of you are going, yeah, he's sitting right next to me right now. He won't leave me alone. I said, okay, ladies, suppose this man continues to pursue you and continues to pursue you. And you say, look, I only like you as a friend. Ladies, why don't you just take the knife, stick it in, and turn it? Because every man in here has heard this. I like you, but only as a friend. Well, suppose he continues to pursue you, and he gets to the point where he says, look, I love you so much, I'm going to force you to love me. Can he do that? No, he can't do that. Love, by definition, must be freely given.
But she knows he exists, and vice versa. This is why it's so stupid when they talk about this stuff. And they're like, oh, well, you know, he doesn't want... He doesn't want some robots. So if he lets people know he exists, then robots. What are you talking about? You know, like one of the main reasons why I love my girlfriend so much, Nikki, is that I know she exists. You know, I can demonstrate it. You know what I mean? And like, if knowing that she exists does not make me a robot for loving her. It's so insane. Like,
So if he truly did love you, what would he do? He would leave you alone.
Ashley said, is he comparing his God to our rapist? Yes, in so many ways. Yes, or stalker, but yeah, probably eventually. Yeah, I don't want to joke about that sort of thing, but yes,
That's exactly what God does.
Yeah.
He keeps sending us cards, letters, and flowers while we're here. And if we keep rejecting him, he
Ashley said, wait, bad question. They already believe their God is their rapist.
gives us up to our own desires. And that ultimately,
the Spirit came upon her,
what hell is. Ultimately, what hell is. Hell is separation from God. So you're free in hell.
So
you can continue to.
Crazy. Like, he went through all of that shit before it would, like, all those just things, like basically saying, hey, this is what science can't explain, right? Therefore, something caused everything. And then just dives into this gobbledygook of acting like he knows, like, not only what was the unmoved first mover, but how it works. He's got the right theology. He's got all of the everything right. It's crazy they can jump from that to that. It's just insane.
Reject God in hell, but you're confined to hell. In fact, hell is a quarantine of evil.
And they figured that out by all of the peer-reviewed science that they did when they were testing hell and how it functions and all that,
That's what it is. And heaven, of course, is being in the very presence of God. God loves you too much to force you into his presence against your will.
Oh, here comes the music. It's not manipulative at all.
If there is some uncaused first cause of the universe, an unmoved mover, why does that necessarily mean that he's worthy of our worship? And that is such a good question, because it is not just in the isolation of the modality of science that we understand who God is. That's really just a stepping stone. All these conversations about God as the creative force behind the universe, the intelligent designer of the universe, that's literally just like square one. That's a stepping stone that you have to step on in order to get further down the path. But it's only
not necessarily. In fact, like, just not having an epistemology is your best stepping stone to get where you need people to be. Because once you start asking, how do we know that any of this is true, your whole situation falls to pieces pretty quickly.
That it's only a beginning point. Once you understand that logically there must be a uncaused first cause of the universe, like Frank Turek said, and that obviously that can't be the universe itself. Matter doesn't create matter. It takes an intelligence to create matter. It takes.
Okay. Even if all of that was true, that means that it's definitely your interpretation of your doctrine, of your denomination, of your God, right?
This idea of God to create matter. But let's get past that for a second, because I know some people get hung up there. It's this cumulative case for Christianity that compounds upon itself and becomes more and more and more compelling. And ultimately, it gets down to something that is incredibly personal. In fact, in the New Testament, Jesus' disciples asked him, why do you use parables? And he explained to them that he uses parables as his mechanism of communication because he's actually graciously and mercifully concealing information from people who don't have ears to hear, from people who are actually going to be resistant to his message. He actually doesn't want to incur on them.
What is his problem? He's like, so I speak in riddles because I only want the people that really want to solve the riddles, and then the rest can be tortured forever.
A greater judgment. But if you do have ears to hear, if you do have eyes to see, if you want to know the truth wherever it leads, then you take a step towards the possibility of God. And when you do,
it's funny because he was just talking about the New Testament, and it's like that Paul and Jesus never interacted, right? And right now what he's talking about is the teaching of Jesus. And if you look at the writings of Paul, he only quotes Jesus 3 times, and it's very, very basic stuff. I couldn't remember exactly what the quotes were, but he only quotes Jesus 3 times, and it's a completely different message. Everything that Paul talks about in the letters and everything is very different than everything that Jesus taught. A lot of the Bible scholars don't even think that Paul like understood what Jesus taught with any kind of clarity at all. He just was using that popularity and what happened to him to kind of create his own thing. And that's what everybody kind of latched onto. And that's what we see as modern day Christianity.
That God takes a step towards you. That's what it says in the Bible. It says, knock and the door will be open to you. Seek and you will find. Everyone who knocks receives an answer. Everyone who seeks finds.
Problem is everybody's finding. Everybody's finding, and it's all different, but they all found it though.
And draw near to God and he will draw near to you. There's this mysterious way in which God gracious.
Listen how manipulative this dude has to be. Like, so he starts out with, hey, but you don't know where everything came from. You know, you don't know that. And you're like, oh, okay, it makes me a little uncomfortable. And he's like, okay, now follow you this way. Then he, Turek jumps this fucking massive leap from epistemology, you don't know stuff, to, but hell is like this and hell's really bad. And yes, the Jews went to hell that were, tortured to death in the Holocaust. And, but that's because they didn't want to not be tortured to death for all eternity, because I guess I don't know. I mean, it's just, and then now he's using all of that gobbledygook nonsense, this complete non sequiturs jumping all over the place, to now put on his little emotional music and kind of explain, like, this is why Jesus, you gotta want to find him. You gotta want to find him. And I'll tell you, you know where he is. He's right. I figured it out. Okay, you got to just listen to me. I'm the one who figured it out. And if you actually want to know, if you question that I know everything, then you don't actually want to know. That's what that is. Okay, so
conceals the full revelation of who he is from those with hard hearts. I know I'm using Christianese here, but he leans into those who actually want to know who he is. And so my challenge for someone watching this video is, don't get locked up inside of the box of science where you're only epistemology, if you will, which means just way of knowing.
He has to explain that, which is kind of funny, because when I was a Christian, I'd have been like, what's that, like the science of peeing? Or is it epistem? I don't know. I don't know what this is. I don't know what this means.
Through science. And if I can't put it under a microscope, then I can't possibly know if it's true or not. You don't actually do that when things go to the more personal.
But you need to be able to detect it in some kind of like demonstrable way, man.
level. I don't know that my wife, for example, loves me based on something that I can put under a microscope. Right. I know that spiritually, emotionally, psychologically, and holistically.
You can prove she exists, man. You can take a fucking picture of her, dude. Like, you can do all sorts of stuff. And so you can have her, like, you could pull up text that her saying she loves you. You can have a sufficient amount of evidence to demonstrate to other people that it's reasonable to believe that your wife loves you. You fucking nut. It's so dumb when they start doing this shit.
At the deepest level of who I am, because I actually have a relationship with her. And it's the same thing with God. I actually have a relationship with God.
Really? Where is he? Where's the text?
He walks with me. He talks.
I want to see the text. Oh my God, he talks with me. You're crazy, buddy. Like, let me see the text. Let me see the letters. Let me see a picture of him. Let me see any evidence that you have communicated with anything other than your own fucking mind.
With me, he is my friend. He reveals himself to me in scripture. He has forgiven my sins. That's the entire point of the incarnation, is that God gave he presented himself to us in a way that is knowable. He has been given a name. His name is Emmanuel, which is God.
There's a third crying. None of them are related. What's going on? Someone is like crying. People have hacked my fucking
God with us. Jesus Christ is the image of the invisible God. You look to the life and ministry and death and resurrection and ascension of Jesus in order to answer the question of, what is God like? What is his personality like? What are his motives? What does he care about? What is he for? What does his kingdom look like? What is his mission?
See, I think this right here is why people love religion, because you can just start talking and everybody's just like, whoa, yeah, man. I don't even think he knows what he's saying right now, right? But he's saying it like he does, and he's talking about the right stuff, sort of saying the right things that sort of coincide with his doctrine, so he can just keep making stuff up. And people kind of like doing that. People tend to like just making stuff up and sounding like they're right, because they don't want to have to do the hard work of actually learning things. It's just so funny.
You look to Jesus to answer those more personal and specific questions that this unmoved mover abstraction will never really get you to. So
okay, all right. I guess he wasn't crying. Or like it sounded like he was getting there though. Come on now, he had to have noticed that.
Anyway, I digress. I ramble on. I hope you guys enjoyed it. For some of you that are still listening, and yeah, that's it. I just wanted to speak a little bit more from the heart, because these conversations about God shouldn't just be theorizing. They shouldn't just be in this realm of the abstract. They should be. We should be able to talk about this properly, which is to say, personally. So anyway, that's it for this.
Properly, which is to say, personally. That's right. Okay, now let's get. Oh, I love these people. It's just so funny to me, the way that they talk. Like they're just like, we shouldn't like, keep saying like talking about like how we know stuff is true. We should just decide that we do know what is true and then just act like it is, And what I'm telling you is the truth. Like my religion's the right one. That's what I'm trying to say. Tell me I'm right. Tell me I'm right. Tell me I'm right. So, all right. Well, that was a lot of fun, and I think I'm going to wrap her up there. And thank you so much for watching. Seriously, go to adamandeve.com and put in code word Brentley at checkout and get one item, almost any one item, 50% off, and 3 free gifts, one for him, one for her, and one for both y'all. Let's see, and then you got 6 free DVDs, and you get free shipping on the entire order. That's code Brentley, BRENTLY at checkout. And I know you're gonna love that stuff. So, but thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time. So remember to stay logical, loving, skeptical, but compassionate.